Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelli Fox. Each week, Kelli will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelli Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelli each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer, Kelli Fox. And on tonight's show, I'm going to be talking about May. Can you believe that May is upon us? So we are staring down at May already. And when it really sunk in before, when I was thinking about tonight's show, I just can't believe we are already looking at May. And May is a huge, huge month. And there's no eclipses, so that makes it even huger, if that's even a word. And so what's happening in May is Uranus, planet of the unexpected and unpredictable, the most rebellious of all the planets, is changing sign. And this happens every 7 years. And so the cycle of Uranus is every 84 years. So Uranus will be moving into Taurus on May 15th. And this is really, really big news in the astrological world. So Taurus is the sign of being solid, steady, stable, grounded, practical, methodical, and Uranus is the complete opposite of all those things. So when you put Uranus with Taurus, anything is likely to happen. Taurus is also one of the signs, or the sign of money, and so you've got unpredictability coupled with perhaps the financial market, and I wonder what we can expect there. And the outer planets, and that's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, affect us on a global scale. Yes, they affect us as individuals, but really anytime there's big news with an outer planet, it will be news on a global scale. So with Uranus moving into Taurus on May 15th, that is the headline of the month. And on tonight's show, I'm going to give you an overview of what to expect for May, and then I'm going to break it down by each sign. So that will be tonight's show, and what each sign can expect, not only with Uranus moving into Taurus, but we've got a couple of gnarly aspects on the 7th and 8th, or more than a couple actually. We've got Mercury square Pluto, which means issues with communication or people digging in where it's none of their business. And then we've also, on that same day, we've also got Venus square Neptune, which means, again, love and money, something's not being said or told, or the truth is being hidden. But as we know, we've got Jupiter in Scorpio retrograde at the moment, which means that things come to light, which has been going on, obviously, in the news. And then on the 8th, we've got the Sun forming in opposition to Jupiter. So that means that excess and exaggeration are to be expected. So next week, and that's the week of May 6th. There's some gnarly stuff going on there. And then also the following week we've got Mercury hooking up with Uranus and Taurus, and then they're both forming a square to Mars. So I will talk about all these things in more detail a bit later on in the show. But basically, yes, first half of May, it's like we all should hold on to our hats and expect the unexpected. So, with Uranus moving into Taurus, which is big news, and it's going to be forming a challenging square to Mars. Mars is planet of anger and assertion, and so a square creates friction. So straight up, Mars and Uranus change sign on the same day and are immediately at odds. And this is not good news for any sign, but especially if you are a fixed sign, and that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Be careful around this month and then throughout the Northern Hemisphere's summer, because there's going to be some unexpected headbutting, I think would be one way of saying it. Now, on a global scale, with Uranus in Taurus, as I mentioned, be prepared for tumultuous financial systems wreaking havoc and going in directions we had not expected. And I know last week we're sort of feeling the effects of Uranus and Taurus already. The Dow plunged 500 points, which is really unusual. So I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. Taurus is also the sign of the earth and the environment. So when it's coupled with Uranus, we could expect some environmental catastrophe. Now, I really don't even like saying that. And so just remember that Uranus will be in Taurus for the next 7 years. So what it does mean, though, is the immediate effects will be quite shocking, but perhaps in the long term, it might not be so hard, because Uranus will be forming some nice aspects as well. I'm just being the voice of doom and gloom here with Uranus in Taurus and all the negatives that could happen. But I will cover the positive attributes of Uranus in Taurus as well throughout the show. So just getting back to Uranus in Taurus, because it's basically one of the headlines of the year, not just the month. So, each sign will feel the shock of change and upheaval in the area of life which Uranus will now begin to transit. And I will cover every sign and what to expect for May, and particularly with Uranus moving into Taurus and then forming that square to Mars straight away. So away from Uranus, May begins like on a secretive and maybe a manipulative note for many people, because of these difficult squares that we've got on May 7th and May 8th, which is next week. And so those difficult squares, the first one's between Mercury and Pluto, and then we've got Venus and Neptune. And then, of course, on the 8th, the very following day, difficult opposition between the Sun and Jupiter. So when I wrap all those things together and what we can be expecting, the build-up till we get to Uranus moving into Taurus on May 15th. So, as I said before, with Mercury and Pluto, it's very much about secrets. Creating friction and tension. Things might come to light, especially with that Jupiter in Scorpio retrograde. And then with the Venus-Neptune square, we can be expecting sort of don't make any actually, you know what? Here are my best words of wisdom for the whole show. Be careful of making any sort of financial decisions this month, not only because Uranus in Taurus, but also with Mercury and Pluto and Venus and Neptune, both of those aspects in square. So, and it's all about the financial markets. Mercury is said to rule commerce. Pluto affects us all on a global scale. Venus is also the planet of money, and Neptune is confusion or anything that's not clear. So be very careful about investing any sort of money, signing any sort of deals this month because things might go upside down and around with these planetary aspects. And then, of course, on May 8th, we've got this difficult Sun-Jupiter opposition, Sun in Taurus, Jupiter in Scorpio, which is really tough on the fixed signs yet again. Fixed signs once more, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So the Sun-Jupiter opposition, it brings pride and ego into this already difficult month. And, of course, with potential for sudden consequences because of the Uranus and Taurus influence. So the whole thing is, it's like, this month, especially the first half of May, it's important to take the high road and know that it might be a bit shaky at times. And try not to over-exaggerate or even exaggerate at all with that Sun-Jupiter opposition on the 8th. Now, moving on from all of the first half of the goings-on, on the 19th of May, we've got love planet Venus moving into nurturing Cancer. So that's a really nice influence to connect with family members or people that you regard as family. And then on May 25th, I'm happy to say that we have a very spiritual Jupiter-Neptune trine. Now, that's really, really nice for the water signs, and that's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. It's a really, really nice time to tune into your intuition or spirituality or any sort of creativity and really listen to your higher self at this time. And if there's any issues, we can solve problems via love and compassion instead of anger and force, which will be coming up with the Mars-Uranus square throughout the whole summer. So basically, the reason why Mars and Uranus will be at odds all summer is because Mars turns retrograde June 27th. So there's issues around that. So it moves backwards and then it starts forming yet another square to Uranus. So just be prepared. In other words, the Northern Hemisphere's summer or the Southern Hemisphere's winter can be very, very challenging. It will be a very challenging time. Things coming seemingly out of nowhere and affecting many of us. But, towards the end of the month, as May draws to a close, we've got this positive and adventurous full moon in Sagittarius on the 29th. Also that day, Mercury, planet of communication, moves into Gemini. So it's a really good time for us to use our indoor voices and really speak up and be heard. Mercury in its favourite sign of Gemini, or I should say one of its favourite signs of Gemini, the other favourite sign of Mercury is Virgo. So on the 29th, we've got a full moon in Sagittarius, so it's all about being adventurous and exploring into parts unknown, coupled with Mercury moving into Gemini. And that about caps the month. That's a lot going on. Oh, and of course, on the 20th, the Sun moves into Gemini, which happens every year. So that's the summary of May and what we can all expect. Now, for the rest of the show, I am going to go but it will feel like whizzing through because there's just so much to say for each sign this month. So I'm going to start with Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, and right through the end of the show, I'm going to go through every sign and what every sign can expect for this month of May with all this upheaval and unexpected things coming about. So if you're an Aries, what's going to be important for you in May is your values. It's like the things that you hold dear, ethics and morals and values, that they might be questioned or they might come under fire. Especially with those hard squares on May 7th and 8th. So it's going to be really important to be emotionally honest with yourself and, of course, with others. And then, of course, on the 8th, we've got that Sun-Jupiter opposition. So it's like try not to be arrogant and overconfident at this time because it could very easily backfire. So think humility rather than ego. during that first week of May. So next week, just sort of like take one baby step at a time, and really think things through. Because, Aries, you tend to dive in feet first with certain things, but it will be really important to sort of slow down and smell the roses before sort of jumping in or launching into yet another new project. And then, of course, on May 15th, which I'm going to just keep repeating for the whole show, May 15th is a big, big day, one of the biggest days of the year. So on May 15th, of course, rebel planet Uranus finally leaves your sign where it's been for the past 7 years, and then it moves into your finance zone. So, for the next 7 years, while Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, Aries, is in your finance zone, you are set to experience some financial shocks and shake-ups. It doesn't mean it's all negative. It just means that it's one extreme or the other over the next few years for you. So it could involve windfalls or extra money coming in as well. So it's not bad. It's just there's going to be a change to your bottom line. And some of you, of course, will undoubtedly involve you having to learn to live with less. So it's all about financial security for you, Aries, with Uranus in Taurus. It's like, are you willing to sacrifice your happiness or your health in order to make more money? That's probably going to be the big question over the next few years for you. And then, of course, the final week of May for Aries, it should bring you some insight because of the incredible Jupiter-Neptune trine on May 25th. Now, I did say this is really great for the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but it's really great for all signs. And then for you, Aries, it's like bringing things to light or unearthing things that have been hidden. Anyway, on that note, we are going to take a short break, so stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, this is John Andrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer Kelli Fox, talking about what we can all expect during inside out of May. So this is basically the show all about May. And so the big news or the headline for May is Uranus moving into Taurus, which happens once every 84 years. So this is one of the headlines of 2018. Uranus in Taurus, but then it's going to form a square with Mars in Aquarius, and they're going to be battling it out and duking it out all through the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. So there's going to be a lot of shocks and shockwaves coming our way, which affects all of us on a global scale. So I'm going to run through each sign for the rest of the show and what each sign can expect from May. So if you're a Taurus, this is interesting for you because Uranus is moving into your sign where it will be for the next 7 years. So Uranus will be shaking everyone up, but especially you balls. And Taurus doesn't like to be shook up. Taurus likes solid, stable, steady ground. So to actually have Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, in your sign might have many of you feeling a little bit nervous. And so what it's going to do is that it might force some of you to drop the mask you've been wearing for some time and really sort of come out from hiding and show your true colours. And so I'm going to start with, the squares in opposition the 7th and 8th of May will force some of you Taurians to deal with your feelings out in the open, especially in your love relationship. So it's like you've got to sort of face the music. Things might not be very clear, but overall, if you can speak up and speak your mind, because Mercury will be moving into Taurus, and actually Mercury, planet of the mind and communication, sits with Uranus, planet of the unexpected, in the middle of May. So basically, we might be getting, especially you, Taurus, might be getting some brilliant flashes of insight, but we might be feeling a little bit frustrated with putting those plans into action or being able to act upon certain things. So then, so what it's forcing you to do is sort of pause and think through, even though something might seem like a brilliant idea, it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to come to fruition at this time. So, as I said, Uranus moved into your sign May 15th. It hasn't been there since 1941. And don't be surprised if all this change, all this like change energy gets to work right away. Uranus, one of the three outer planets, the others being Neptune and Pluto, it's always like bang, hit the ground running as soon as it moves into a sign. And so especially if you are an April-born Taurus, expect a lot of change coming your way this year and next, and big change that you hadn't anticipated. So on the 16th, Mars and Uranus go into battle, where they will be battling all through the summer. And for Taurus, this could be a dramatic event which sweeps away what has gone before. So try to go with the flow. You're a fixed sign, so I know it's really difficult for you to go with the flow, but try and adapt to events rather than fighting them, and act from the heart and stop pretending to be okay with something which angers you. But just know that there is some respite. May 25th, there's a fantastic Jupiter-Neptune trine, which opens up new friendships and a whole new level of spiritual generosity in your life. So that's good news for you, Taurus. Gemini, if you are a Gemini, if you were born under the sign of the twins, I'm talking to you. So for you, Gemini, May is all about paying your debts. And it doesn't necessarily mean financial ones. Those difficult square aspects on May 7th might highlight how you've failed to acknowledge help or support you have received in recent years. And this might have been hurtful to some people. So now is the time to sort of pay up. If you've gotten a lot of help and support from others, now is the time to offer help and support to the people that have helped and supported you. And then, of course, on the 8th with the Sun-Jupiter opposition, it further underlines how you may have profited at the expense of others. So not good, but it's time to make amends this month. And so with Uranus shifting into the most secretive and also spiritual part of your chart, there's going to be a lot of spiritual upheaval for you over the next 7 years while Uranus is in Taurus. So the next 7 years will be a time to think carefully about your past experiences and how they've shaped you for now and into the future. And this will be a good time to sort of ditch any unhealthy emotional habits and work through any guilt and trust issues which have been building up for you. Now, don't be surprised when Uranus moves into Taurus, and especially over the summer, that if someone reveals one of your secrets or breaks a confidence. So be very careful with that as well. And so then, of course, May 25th, wonderful time for everybody, but with the Jupiter and Neptune trine, it can help you make a difference for the better. And it could also advance your career in some way, but you'll need to tune into your intuition and ask for guidance from a higher source to really know what direction you are heading in. And then finally, the full moon on May 29th is illuminating your love relationships. So it might be good to let go of a resentment or a blame so you can move forward with your sweetie. Oh, and just one more thing. Also on the 29th, Mercury, your ruling planet, moves into your own sign. So you'll find it so much easier to express your emotions at the end of the month and then through July. If you are a Cancer, the crab, May looks set to be a month of change for you and for all of us, of course. But you, Cancer, have really been challenged these past few years, and some of you, especially if you're born in June, June-born Cancer, you might find that authority or life's responsibilities are weighing heavily on you at this time. But what it does mean is it's a good opportunity to get out of a rut. With the hard aspects that we've got on May 7th and 8th, for you, Cancer, secrets and deception in love are likely to come to the fore around this time. With motives made clear, and it's not just yours but other people's as well. And if your relationship has been struggling, there could be a sense of an ending. Nothing set in stone, but if you choose to work through the problems, with your partner, you're both aligned, working through them, working through the karma of the relationship, you will find support to do so. Now, of course, with Uranus moving into Taurus on May 15th, this is an interesting 7-year period for you because it's all about friendships and what you can manifest and what you sort of hope for. Now, Mars and Uranus immediately go into battle when both planets change sign on the 15th. And it might find that you might be tempted to throw in the towel over a long-term project or goal because the battle just seems too big or too hard, especially with, Saturn and Pluto opposing your Sun. Where they've been for a little while now. It just seems like it might be all a little bit too much. But of course, your sign, Cancer, is a sign of family. So lean on your closest friends and family to really support you because you are always supporting them. Now, with love planet Venus moving into your sign on May 19th, this is good news because it brings you opportunities to take care of you, to nurture you. You're the mother hen of the zodiac, and so you're always clucking around and taking care of others. But with love planet Venus in your own sign, this is the time to take care of you. It might be a challenging month for you, with the opposition from Saturn and Pluto, and then, of course, Uranus forming this square to Mars. It might be, things things come to light via friends or acquaintances or your network of people. Things come to light that you might not have anticipated on. Listen carefully to the energies of the full moon, because the moon is your ruling planet. So full moons, a lot of Cancerians are always affected by the lunar cycles. Full moons, of course, are the epitome of that. So on May 29th with the full moon, listen carefully to the energies of the full moon, because they might be urging you to change your daily routines. This is a good time to make a break with the past, which is actually really difficult for your sign. Cancer is a sign that's attached to the past. So it might be good to make a clean break and just take a step forward. And then, of course, Mercury on that same day, May 29th, arrives in your spiritual and psychic zone. So it's a good time to really, really tune in around the full moon. Mercury moving into the zone of spirituality, psychic ability. So it's a good time for you to journal or meditation or any sort of dream work, and of course pay attention to the dreams that you have at the end of the month. They might be very insightful. If you are a Leo the lion, so for you this month, this is a time to break free from other people's ideas of who you are and how they see you in the world. So, of course, that comes from Uranus moving into Taurus. It'll be triggering your house of status and career for the next few years. But, you know, we've got some difficult and tense planetary aspects on May 7th with those two squares, Mercury square Pluto, and then, of course, Venus square Neptune. So it's for all of us, not just Leo, but for all of us, be very careful with finances and making long-term major purchases or long-term decisions around finances. But for you, Leo, with these squares on May 7th and, of course, the opposition on May 8th, it could point towards jealousy in a friendship, or maybe perhaps a betrayal from somebody you thought was a friend who isn't a friend at all. And then with the Sun-Jupiter opposition in force on May 8th, your work-life balance is also in question. And, you know, many of us at this time will be feeling impatient and angry. So it won't just be you, Leo, but it's like all of us under these planetary conditions. And then, of course, as I said, on May 15th, Uranus, planet of the unexpected, arrives in your status and career zone. And, of course, Uranus doesn't play by the rules. Uranus thinks outside the box. Uranus is a rebel rouser. And so for you, Leo, you may find this influence quite liberating. And so it's especially if you felt constrained by the expectations of others, especially at work or by your boss, now is the time for you to take control of your own future, regardless of what area that is in. And so maybe for you, and not just this month, but like for the next few years, there might be some dramatic career decisions and changes coming your way. And if mid-May, because Mars and Uranus are battling it out, for you, Leo, you might be fueled by an angry and rather reckless, the reckless square of Mars-Uranus. So for many of us, and you, Leo, especially, you might end up taking some sudden action around your career. But just know that that every ending is also a new beginning, of course. So you will be getting some respite from the shockwaves from Uranus, and that's when gentle Venus moves into your dream zone. So it's a time, May 19th through first half of June, where you can find some peace and quiet amid the chaos of this Uranus in Taurus and battling it out with Mars. So, and of course, you know, there's a wonderful Jupiter-Neptune trine on May 25th, just in time to kick off the Northern Hemisphere's Memorial Weekend. where we all celebrate the start of summer. And with this really nice trine between Jupiter and Neptune, it could bring you and your family closer. And so it's a time for hope and positivity when things around us might seem chaotic. And then, of course, we have a full moon on May 29th. And this is all about letting off steam and having some fun. So definitely something to look forward to. And then, of course, on the same day, Mercury, planet of the mind, moves into your friendship zone. So be sure at the end of May to get out there and expand your social circle. Now, if you are a Virgo, so what's happening for you in May? Well, a lot, like all of us. But for you, Virgo, you might be walking a moral tightrope. And it might not be an entirely comfortable experience, because when is it ever? So if you're involved in something that shouldn't be, that's not quite above board, any sort of relationship or something that people disapprove of, you can definitely be expecting some drama, jealousy, maybe even manipulation in your love life. And that's around those two hard squares in the opposition, May 7th and 8th. And this might be even more effective if it's about your relationship and your partner is much older or younger or higher in status than you. There's something that's going to be quite irritating and maybe emotionally painful. But the key here, dealing with any tough situation this month, is to consider your own motives. And as always, stick to the moral high ground. Now, on May 15th, Uranus shifts into your philosophy zone, and then straight away it's going to begin to challenge your beliefs and your ethical understanding. And you can expect some eye-opening experiences, particularly related to other cultures. So some long-held beliefs might get a shake-up, and you might change your mind over something. But, of course, remember on May 16th, there's an angry square between Mars and Uranus that could lead to confrontation. But you will learn a lot, and maybe you will start to work on your own prejudice and assumptions and all that sort of murky stuff that we don't really like to touch. So for you, Virgo, there's a big shake-up with Mars-Uranus square, letting go of your long-held beliefs. So on that note, we are going to take a short break, so stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer Kelli Fox, talking about the planets in May and what we can all be expecting. And of course, you know, the big headline of the month and the year is Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, is moving into Taurus, a very stable and steady sign. So these two energies don't really get on that well. So we can be expecting some upheaval, to say the least, especially if you are a fixed sign, and that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Your world may rock. So I've just been talking the first 6 signs of the zodiac, Aries through Virgo, about what you can expect in May. And now, if you're a Libra, so May's planetary activity could ask some serious questions, including a fundamental one: are you happy? So, of course, you know, you have some niggles and irritations like we all do, but you might not be so happy with the division of labour within your relationship and family as May starts, because you might be feeling like there's too much responsibilities while other people take it easy. Now, with the 10th square aspects on the 7th and opposition on the 8th, it might come to a head. So there's a lot of stuff that's getting shaken up before we even get to Uranus in Taurus. So it's like, you know, things are going to be tested for all of us with these 10 squares and the opposition. There could be some excess or exaggeration there as well. So when Uranus moves into Taurus, it moves into the investment zone of your chart. So this is what will come to light will be some hidden frustrations about money and fairness. And it doesn't just sort of tiptoe into your life. There's something that's going to come unexpectedly. It's something that might have been brewing and bubbling and boiling beneath the surface. And then suddenly, bang, these frustrations are let loose. And usually, Libra, you're a very even keel, very mellow sign. And so for something to really have you exploding, it's going to be something big. So it's like if your sweetheart spends too much or doesn't do their fair share around the house, then, of course, arguments may follow. The key to this, though, is to understand why this makes you angry and, like, sort of face your fears. With the shake-up of Uranus, it's like it's sort of forcing you to face your fears head on and bring them into light. And of course, you know, with Jupiter in Scorpio, everything's coming to light at this time anyway. And then, of course, there's a really lovely trine between Jupiter and Neptune on May 25th. So it encourages you to be kinder to yourself. You know, it's like you do so much for so many other people. Now is the time to focus on you. And especially because you've got a bit of a reprieve because Uranus has been in your opposite sign for the past 7 years. So for the past, you know, during that time, people might have sort of been acting and behaving in very strange, unanticipated ways. So now things will settle down a little bit when it comes to other people in your life. And then, of course, finally, with the full moon, May 29th, in your communication zone, you'll start to learn the right way to ask for help. If you are a Scorpio, why have you been hiding? Because Uranus is going to be moving into your opposite sign. So this means that there's going to be big shake-ups when it comes to your closest relationships. And what have you been hiding as well? So you can't really hide anymore. So it's like you haven't been revealing something about yourself. So, you know, you're a fixed sign. The other fixed signs, 2018 is a year for change, shake-up, and you won't be any exception. And of course, Jupiter, planet of luck and good fortune, also planet of excess, is in your sign, Scorpio, where it will be through the end of the year. So just watch the opposition, though, on May 8th. It's between the Sun and Jupiter. And so what it might do is highlight the way in which you sometimes scare people off. So there's going to be this exaggeration or inflated optimism or inflated confidence at that time, May 8th, with the Sun-Jupiter opposition. So it's like it's time to not exaggerate, but really just say things as they are, and just be careful about sort of like painting the picture a rosier hue than what it really is. And then, of course, Mercury, planet of communication, moves into your love zone on May 13th. And so you'll be able to express what you want and need in a relationship, be less confrontational to your partner. So, of course, the big change comes on May 15th when freedom-loving Uranus moves into your love zone. So what that means is it's important to create more space for yourself and your partner within your relationship. You don't have to be joined at the hip. This is a good time now for the next few years to do your own thing and allow your sweetie to do likewise. And also with love planet Venus moving into compatible sign of Cancer, May 19th, it's all good. If you can plan any sort of trip with your partner, even better. And then, of course, May 25th, you've got Jupiter, which is in Scorpio, and Neptune in Pisces, team up together and give you a big burst of creativity, spirituality, psychic ability, anything musical. It's a good time for that. Now, Sagittarius, for you, May is a good month to focus on finances and also on your future financial security. And that's not something you typically do very often. But of course, everything, there's nothing comes easily. There's always something that might be a bit challenging. So of course, the difficult squares between Mercury and Pluto and Venus and Neptune on the 7th might suggest that someone isn't being honest about how much they spend or what they spend their money on. So there could be a lot of anger around any sort of joint finances, first half of May. And then with the opposition between Sun and Jupiter, it suggests that you might need to tighten your belt and streamline what you spend. So on May 13th, Mercury arrives in your organization zone. So you'll find it's a breeze to seek out better deals or to attend to your budgeting. And then, of course, Uranus moving into your organization zone as well. So it's time to renegotiate or reorganize or redistribute your responsibilities. You can't carry the world on your shoulders. There's other people that can help with that. Tap into the amazing trine between Jupiter and Neptune, May 25th. Which suggests that you will get support that you need, especially from your family, and any issues that you've had in your partnership around money, that gets sorted out as well by the end of the month. And then, of course, there's a full moon in your own sign on May 29th, so that urges you to step forwards into the limelight and just to show the world what you have to offer. It's a great time for job hunting as well. And then, of course, let your sweetie know how you really feel because communication, Mercury arrives in your love zone. If you are a Capricorn, then for you can expect a burst of creativity this month. And it's about time because you've really been hammered these past few years by all varying comings and goings of the planets. And at the moment, you've got Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. So for many Capricorns, especially December-born Capricorns, life has changed and transformed for you. And you've been put to the test time and time again. So now it's time to get creative. So it's like this month brings a sense of healing over any sort of hard past events. especially if you suffered some sort of trauma long ago. Now is the time to heal. Now, of course, for all of us, there might be a struggle with emotions on May 7th with those difficult square aspects, dredging up memories of hurt and trauma. But it's always good to tackle something head on instead of hiding from it. And because of all the trials and tribulations you've been through these past few years, Capricorn, May looks like a piece of cake. And so you've got on May 13th, Mercury, communication planet Mercury, arrives in your creativity zone. So if you are if you have an arts and crafts interest, or you're in the arts in some way, or writing, it's an excellent therapy for you at this time. And don't be afraid to show off your many talents that you have. And so, of course, Mercury is joined by Uranus on May 15th, and this will be a major turning point in your creative journey. And for the next 7 years, you'll spend more time maybe playing and laughing and indulging your inner child, and that has to be a good thing. Many Capricorns are born old. I don't know if any of you have heard that before. And again, the creativity continues with the Jupiter-Neptune trine at the end of the month. And then, of course, the full moon on May 29th occurs in your imagination zone. So be sure to pay attention to your dreams this month and listen to your subconscious mind. And if you are an Aquarian, I'm sorry to say, but it might be a tense start to the month for you, and then throughout the summer. Especially if you have to keep a secret of some sort, because May 7th and 8th may well bring that secret to light. Despite your best efforts, you also risk saying something very unwise in the heat of the moment. So it might be an idea to stay away from social media for a while. But on the plus side, your work-life balance appears to be improving. And that will be especially so starting May 13th, when Mercury moves into your family zone. So it's interesting that Mercury and Uranus join forces in your family zone for the next 7 years. So what this means is that there could be sudden moves over this period of time, change in family dynamics. You might also find yourself suffocating from some sort of family expectation, or wanting to disentangle yourself from traditional or community roots, which you no longer find helpful. And then, of course, quite dramatically, on May 16th, when Mars squares to Uranus, there might be a sudden house move or an abrupt change of direction. So rearranging your domestic life doesn't come cheap, of course, but there's a very fortunate trine between Jupiter and Neptune on May 25th. And so that suggests that things are looking up financially and also in your career. And then, of course, May 29th, there's a full moon. It illuminates your friendship and community zone, encouraging you to move away from what holds you back and to open your heart to new people. And finally, if you are a sweet, sweet Pisces, then you have been waiting patiently for the whole show to find out what's going on for you in May. So there's a lot. So, it might be a case of you've spent the last few years in many ways trying to be something you're not. But the planetary events this month should put that right and allow you to feel more comfortable in your own skin. So, of course, the hard squares and opposition on May 7th and 8th may make you feel that enough is enough. So there might be some sort of emotional outburst, or perhaps the truth-telling session, especially if you've been following someone else's dream at the expense of your own. There could be some sort of showdown, but that will be, it'll be very important to really speak your mind. And, of course, May 15th is all about change when Uranus arrives in your intellect zone. So you might get really inspired, Pisces, with all these ideas seemingly coming out of nowhere and way ahead of their time. But they're ideas that you can actually use, and it could change the course of your career or your ambitions. So don't be afraid if some people find your sudden change of attitude offensive or even shocking. Don't let anybody dim your light. It's time to shine brightly. And so on May 25th for you, Pisces, there's an amazing, it's a healing and inspirational Jupiter-Neptune trine that shows you exactly where you are meant to be. And all cylinders are firing when it comes to your psychic ability with this magical trine on the 25th. There's a spiritual edge to this aspect which ties into your past lives and your karma. So expect some strange coincidences at this time as well. And then the full moon on May 29th falls into your leadership zone. So it also highlights this is your time to shine. And just never shy away from who you are and what you're about. So there you have it for each sign for May. But of course, the headline is Uranus in Taurus. And it's just moving out of Aries. Uranus has been in Aries since May 2010, which has been all about the individual. And so now, and it's like it's been this raw rebelliousness. So that's coming to an end as Uranus enters Taurus on May 15th, where it will stay until late April 2026. But, you know, make no mistake about Uranus, it doesn't slow down or it doesn't be quiet for anybody, even when it's placed in otherwise stubborn, steadfast and predictable Taurus. So that's it from me. Wishing you a great month of May. Thanks for joining me. This is the Astrology Show, the planets this month, and I am your host and astrologer, Kelli Fox.